I would say in the last month, we've seen gas price wars, which we never really experienced too much before.
Long lines of cars have begun forming at gas stations across the Midwest, with many drivers anxiously waiting for answers. Some stations have run completely dry, while others are rationing the amount of fuel sold to each customer. The story traces back to Alberta, the heart of Canada's oil industry, where Ottawa decided to tighten exports to the United States in response to new tariffs recently imposed by Washington. Within just a few days, the impact spread widely. Gasoline prices surged to levels not seen in years by many Canadian and American households. Freight networks, from food to essential goods, started to clog up. State governors have been piling on the pressure, urging the federal government to find an immediate solution. Yet experts warn that the clock is ticking. If supplies are not restored soon, the northern United States could face a broad fuel and goods shortage, an outcome no one wants to see. Washington, first to feel the shock. Among the states hit hardest by this energy shock is Washington, the energy trade hub of the Pacific Northwest. With over 780 kilometers of shared border with British Columbia and strategic ports such as Seattle and Tacoma, Washington has long served as a gateway for oil imports from Alberta, while also supplying fuel to Oregon, Idaho, and even parts of Alaska. But when Alberta retaliated against Washington's new tariffs by slashing oil exports to the US, Washington took the blow directly. Overnight, fuel volumes crossing the Peace Arch and Suma's border points plunged by more than 60%. Reserves at Anacortes and Cherry Point dropped to record lows, while several oil tankers docking in Seattle left empty-handed. The consequences were immediate. In Seattle, Spokane, and Bellingham, many stations hung out of fuel signs or restricted sales to just 8 to 10 gallons per vehicle. Rural areas were hit even harder, with some stations shutting down altogether due to lack of supply. Residents queued before dawn hoping to fill up, while prices spiked above $6 a gallon, the highest level in more than 20 years. The shortage has also battered local industries. Fishermen in Puget Sound were unable to set out to sea as diesel supplies dried up, threatening the entire season's catch. Shipping companies had to cancel nearly a third of deliveries, disrupting supply chains across neighboring states. For apple and cherry growers, the crisis is a nightmare scenario. Harvest season is looming, yet it's unclear whether their fruit will make it to market. Analysts warn that if the crunch persists, gasoline prices in Washington could hit $7 a gallon. Container traffic at the ports of Seattle and Tacoma will slump further, and many small businesses that depend on steady transport may be forced to close. Michigan, an auto heartland on Edge, Michigan, once proud as the beating heart of America's auto industry, has also found itself at the center of this fuel crisis. The state depends heavily on crude oil flowing from Alberta through Line 5 and Enbridge's main pipeline network. Even a minor disruption can throw the system into chaos. This time, with Canada's sharp retaliation, the fallout came fast and hard. Within 3 days of the supply cut, plants in Detroit, Flint, and Grand Rapids were nearly out of fuel. Gas prices soared from $3.95 to $4.65 in just 4 days, the steepest jump since the 2022 energy crisis. At many stations, customers were limited to just 10 gallons each in a desperate attempt to stretch dwindling reserves. The blow has not only hurt consumers but also rippled quickly across Michigan's entire economy. As a critical transport artery for the Great Lakes region, the shortage has thrown the logistics network into disarray. Transport companies have been forced to cancel numerous long-haul routes to Ohio and Illinois. Frozen food distributors in Detroit are warning of potential supply chain breakdowns as soaring fuel costs and delivery delays take their toll. Meanwhile, auto plants in Detroit, Dearborn, and Lansing have begun voicing concern over material shortages as shipments fail to arrive on time, prompting some facilities to cut shifts rather than keep workers idle on the production line. In response, Governor Gretchen Whitmer declared a state of energy emergency, ordering the release of state reserves and authorizing extended working hours for fuel truck drivers. The Lansing administration has also urged Washington to sit down with Ottawa for direct negotiations to restore pipeline flows, while weighing a temporary suspension of the state's fuel tax to ease cost burdens on residents. In New York, tensions have risen along the St. Lawrence River. Communities in counties such as St.